Morning, everybody. Today is a holiday in our country, and it's the day of Thanksgiving, the morning of Thanksgiving. I figured it'd be a great idea for all of us to get together here to have breakfast and learn a little bit. Now, every Thursday morning, we have a class at Congregation Beth Yeshurun at 9:30 in the morning in the boardroom. And we learned together the incredible book. Now, I'm not prejudiced at all, but Rav Wolbe on Chumash, which is my grandfather's teachings on the Parsha. And what we dislike most at Torch is canceling an opportunity to learn. We never stop Torah, ever. I figured if we're not doing it there, we'll do it here at the Torch Center, and we'll make it into a breakfast. And thank God so many of you were interested in having this breakfast, so I'm thrilled that we were able to host this. So, first let's talk a little bit about Thanksgiving. And we're going to talk about this on Monday at our Musar Mondays at 7:30 right here at the Torch Center. And we're going to talk about the topic of gratitude. But, you know, as Jews, we need to know this concept of giving thanks more than anybody else in the entire world. Because it's in our name. It's in our DNA. That in order for us to survive as people, in order for us to thrive and grow, we must have gratitude. Now, very interestingly, you say I said it's in the name, right? It's more than just in the name. It's in the fabric of who we are. So if you think for a second, how do we start every morning? Modeh. What's modeh? Thank you. First word a Jew utters should be thank you. Not just on Thanksgiving. Every day. Every day is Thanksgiving. We have our name. Our name, what are we called? Yehudim, Jews, right? From the term Judah. Where does the name Judah come from? Odeh means to give thanks. Hapam odeh et Hashem. Now I will thank the Almighty. This time, referring to Judah, who was the fourth child born to Leah. And according to the prophecy, Jacob was going to have 12 children. He had 4 wives, so each one would have 3. And here Leah has her 4th. So she says, now I got more than my share. Now I got well beyond my share. So every single morning when we wake up, we have this opportunity. Incredible opportunity to start our day with the right foot forward, saying, thank you. Thank you is also seen, again, a lot of this is going to be discussed on Monday night in great depth. But sometimes we feel a challenge about saying thank you. And the reason we do is because thank you means that I owe you something. You did something for me, and I don't want to owe you. You ever see children, you give them a candy, you say thank you, they run away. Right? Why? Because that feeling of owing someone is greater in children. Their emotions are more raw. Right? When someone does something for us, it is a burden, it is a debt that we have. By saying thank you, we sort of relinquish that debt. We let go of that debt, and that's one of the great. You know, just to step back for 1 second, okay? So we know of the Torah as being a book of laws. Anything else? Instructions. A book of stories. Guidelines. Wisdom. History. Okay, very good. Our sages tell us, you know what the Torah is? It's a book of pleasure. It's a book of maximizing life. If you look at the book, at the Torah as a book of rules, you'll be disappointed because it takes you about 14 or 15 portions in the Torah till you start getting to the laws. HaChodesh Hazeh Lachem right, which is this month of Nisan should be the first of all the months. If it's a book of laws, just give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Get it out of your stomach and goodbye. But it's not. We know that it's not. And it's not a book of history either. Because the first two portions, Bereshit and Noach, do you know how many years that is? Just Bereshit and Noach. 2,000 years. 2,000 years. The rest of the book is about another 150 years. And then, from the beginning of Genesis till the end of Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, 4 books, is only about 60 years. When the Jews leave Egypt till Moses passes away, it's 40 years. That's it. So you think it doesn't make sense that that's either a history book. So what is the Torah? What is the purpose of the Torah? The purpose of the Torah is, imagine this, okay? I've met young men who are engaged. My wife meets with their brides, and we sit and we talk to them about marriage. We talk to them about commitment, about love, about friendship, about, the fundamentals of marriage. And we try to prepare them for marriage. And one of the comments that I get pretty frequently is, why isn't there just a manual? Right? You ever see a baby born with a handbook? Right? I'm holding a handbook. Right? Here, this is how you should raise me. Right? This is how there's no parenting handbook. Hey, there are people who've written books, great books. But we don't see that there's any type of, manual for living. The entire world hates us for one reason. Because we have the manual. We have that manual. That manual is the Torah. The Torah is not a book of rules. If we see it as a book of rules, we've missed it. We've missed the boat. If we see it as a book of maximizing life, bringing life to perfection, to enjoying every single moment of life, then we have a chance. So, if we were to take, for example, giving thanks, it's not a rule that we're going to start now giving thanks to every. That's not the idea. That's not the purpose. The purpose is, if you want to be a fulfilled person, if you want to be a happy person, if you want your life to be enriched, you know what you should start doing? Give thanks. The more you give thanks, the more your life will be enriched. So this is a manual for maximizing pleasure in life. That's what the Torah is. You think of every single holiday, you think of every single law in the Torah, and think of it with that perspective. God doesn't want to make it difficult for us. Shabbos isn't 39 problems. They're not 39 problems. We don't have 613 big dilemmas. How do we solve these 613? It's like a big problem. There was a person who came up with an interesting Shabbos invention, and it was called a Shabbos switch. And halachically, by the letter of the law, there's no problem with it. There's no problem with it by the letter of the law. But by the spirit of the law, there's a lot of problem with it. Because the way it was marketed as, how do we deal with the Shabbos problem? Shabbos is not a problem. Shabbos is not a problem. You prepare in advance, and you have the lights that you want on, and the lights you want off. Shabbos is not a problem. And if we come with the perspective that Shabbos is a problem, then it's not a problem with the letter of the law, it's a problem in the spirit of the law. All right? So every single mitzvah, we need to look at those mitzvahs not as how the rules, the microscopic instruction alone. You have to look at the big picture. God is giving this to me as a tool to maximize pleasure in life. Every mitzvah. Now, if we don't understand it, it's a limitation by us. It's not a limitation in God's Torah. But the Torah that we have, every single story that's in it, is a lesson for you to learn for your life. And this is what we do in our Chumash class every Thursday morning at Beth Yeshurun at 9:30. What we do in that class is we take a verse of the Torah and we read through and learn lessons from it. More than just it being, a story, more than it just being a rule or an instruction. These are life lessons that we can learn in every single area of Judaism that can help us, whether it be, and now we know, we've discussed this numerous times, that we have different levels of understanding of the Torah. Right? That's the Pardes. We can discuss it another time. But it's the Pshat, Remez, Drush, and Sod, the deepest level being the Kabbalistic understandings, the mystical meanings of things. Right? So doing an action isn't just an action that I'm doing. It has a whole world above it that is being influenced by it. So we are not just doing and learning as robots. The Torah doesn't want robots. God doesn't want robots. God wants us to feel that connection, and these are the different tools that we have to feel that connection. Right? There's a book called the Minchas Chinuch, the Chinuch. The Chinuch is, it really, the word Chinuch means a number of different things, but in simple Hebrew they call Chinuch as in Hebrew, as Hebrew for education. You also have Chinuch means to inaugurate. You inaugurate a building. It's Chanukat Habayit, which is what we're going to do here next Saturday night on December 3rd at 8 o'clock. We're going to have a ribbon cutting ceremony, and we'll have some dignitaries, and we're going to have valet parking, and we're going to have a wonderful event here with sushi and wine and cheese and all these incredible delicacies to celebrate the inauguration of a new Torah center. Right? So that's called Chanukat Habayit. It's the same word of Chanukah. Chanukah as well was the reestablishment of the service in the temple. The same chinuch. It's the same getting something started. So all of these things that we have are part of. So I'm sorry, I was in the middle of the chinuch, the Sefer HaChinuch. So the Sefer HaChinuch, what he does is he goes through enumerates all 613 mitzvot, and gives the actual verse that connects to each mitzvah, and some reason behind it. There was another sage who lived a few years later who wrote the Minchas Chinuch, which was the explanation or the elaboration of all of those meanings. And it's also a set that we're going to have here in the New Torch Library. But the idea is that a mitzvah is not just an isolated mitzvah. Here, do this. You know what? You're going to be too bored in the morning, put on tefillin. No, there's so much more to it. Right? There's so many deeper layers of meaning and understanding to each mitzvah. So, the mitzvahs that we do are not just mitzvahs. They're tools of connection with the Almighty. They're tools of fulfillment for ourselves. And they're tools for grasping the entire universe that we're living in. Right? Okay. So we're going to start now with our regular learning of our Thursday morning class on page 61 of Rav Wolbe on Chumash, part 1, volume 1. If you have the book, great. If you don't, look on with someone next to you. Just as a reminder, giving thanks to someone is a very, very important thing. Not only because we say thank you and we show appreciation, but there's much more to it. You know, my rabbi used to say, before you sit down and bite into your food by dinner, of course we say a blessing before we eat, we say a blessing after we eat, we'll bench soon together here. But think for a second how many people needed to touch the food that you're about to eat, to prepare it for it to be on your plate. Think about that for a second. You have from the people who planted those, put those seeds in the ground, to the people who watered it, to the people who harvested it, to the people who threw it into the basket, and then the people who put it into the trucks, and the people who drove the trucks, and the people who shipped it, right, from the shipping yard, and the people who refrigerated it, and think of all of those steps, all the way to the people who put it in the supermarket, in the basket, beautifully, so that you walk into this beautiful coloring book, right, these magnificent colors of fruits and vegetables, right, they're just smiling at you, right, all shiny, from chemicals, of course, right, and now you bring it home, and you make this blessing. It could be that on your plate, with multiple different items on your plate, you can have anywhere from 50 to 500 people having to work to get that food on your plate. Right, so thank you is not just, all right, I'm exempt, leave me alone, thank you for everything, oh, thank you, right? That's not what it's about. It's about really thinking how much work needed to go to be made for me to be able to eat this delicious food, and then the way it's presented. Right? Giving thanks is not such a simple task anymore, right? Perhaps a full day of Thanksgiving, right? You could do it. But again, as Jews, we start our day every day like that. Every day is a day of thanks. Right? I tell my mother on Mother's Day, I say Happy Mother's Day, you know. She says every day is Mother's Day. Every day, and it is. Every day is Mother's Day. We shouldn't just wait for Mother's Day. Thanksgiving shouldn't only be Thanksgiving Day. It should be every day should be Thanksgiving. All right? But we know that every day should also be, in a marriage, every day should be Valentine's Day. Or, your anniversary. You still have a special day for it.
And your birthday.
Of course, your birthday, right? Right? But the idea is that we don't have to wait for a holiday to express our thanks. Every morning you open up your eyes. You have your soul restored within you. That's a great day. You see the grass from the green side. It's a great day. Right? You're able to walk, and you're able to talk, and you're able to eat, and you're able to smile. It's a great day. So, we have so much to be thankful for. Okay. The question is whether we should keep the Facebook Live going or not. Because we're going to be doing some reading as we read through these Divrei Torah. We'll keep it on. Anybody who wants to log off, we won't hold it against you. All right? So we're on page 61. Derech Eretz, the vessel for Torah. Chazal, our sages, teach us that the speech of our forefathers' servants is superior to the Torah given to later generations, as evidenced by the fact that the Torah gives two detailed accounts of how Eliezer, the servant of Abraham, found a wife for Yitzchak. While many fundamental halachot of the Torah are conveyed through a subtle hint, why is such great importance attributed to the servant's speech? So much detail in how the servant, Eliezer, spoke. The Torah uses the speech of our forefathers' servants as a way of transmitting the guidelines of Derech Eretz, of proper conduct. Eliezer's every action and expression was rooted in Derech Eretz, and therefore constituted a crucial lesson for future generations. Yet, we may wonder, why is Derech Eretz so important? Why is it so important? Isn't it enough that I just observe the laws and that's it? So like we mentioned earlier. It's not enough. Okay, we'll see in a second. Chazal say, Derech Eretz kadma l'Torah. The proper conduct, proper character is a preface. It's the introduction to Torah. When a person goes shopping, he needs a bag to hold the potatoes and a container to hold the eggs, because he cannot bring his purchases home without a proper receptacle. If you don't have a bag, if you don't have a box, how are you going to take home your dozen eggs? You're going to hold it like this, and then you'll have your orange juice, right? How are you going to bring everything home? You need to have a bag. You need to have a receptacle. This concept holds true with regard to spirituality as well. Torah must be placed in a proper vessel, and that vessel is called derech eretz, proper conduct. How you talk to someone, how you act with someone, how you honor someone, how you have respect for other people. That's all a vessel. So let's talk for a second. If someone is a great, great Torah scholar, but they don't speak nicely to other people, there's something wrong. Right? You can't be a vessel to hold the Torah if the vessel is flawed. If it has a hole in it, everything drips out of it. Yes?
Why is it called derech eretz? If it's a human character, why is it related to eretz? What does it mean there?
It means the proper way that people conduct themselves. This is the way that people act. Yes, this is the normal way of conduct that the entire, everyone should act. A proper path of character. Right? I think that's why this should be the norm of how we act. Derech eretz can be defined as those actions and behaviors that every person should recognize as proper without being taught. Before a person starts to learn Torah, he must first behave in accordance with the dictates of seichel, of mind, and intuition. Once he does so, he has reached the level where he can be called a human being. Indeed, one who lacks basic derech eretz is referred to by Chazal, our sages, as worse than an animal's corpse. Okay, someone who doesn't have proper conduct, proper behavior, even the corpse of a dead animal, is more valuable, as our sages say, than a person without derech eretz. Only once a person has reached the level of a human can he hope to internalize the words of Torah, which elevate him above other human beings and bring him to the supernatural level. There is yet another form of derech eretz. The Midrash writes that Torah learning must be interspersed with acts of kindness. As the Mishnah states, it is good to learn Torah along with derech eretz, for the two together eliminate sin. We see from here that chesed is also included in derech eretz. Acts of kindness, acts of loving kindness are included in derech eretz. If we pay close attention to the story of Eliezer meeting with Rivka, we can glean numerous insights into how to conduct our lives with both forms of derech eretz. Okay, now I want to just talk about this idea for a minute. Does the Torah tell us common sense? Does the Torah dictate common sense? So most people will say, of course. The Torah tells us common sense. What's common? Give me some common sense laws that if you were, writing the laws for human beings, you would put them in your book. What are common sense laws? Don't murder. Don't steal. Right? That's common sense. If we say that the Torah doesn't teach us common sense laws, then why are those laws included in the Torah? Our sages say from the very beginning, okay, stories, and then, and each one of those stories have deep meanings, deep important lessons for us. But then we get to the laws later on, in the middle of Exodus. So our sages say an incredible thing. The Torah unequivocally does not tell us common sense laws. Look at Adam and Eve. Okay, we know a principle, a very fundamental principle. Fundamental principle is like this. If someone isn't warned, they cannot be punished. If you don't warn someone with a speed limit of 35, so then you can't give them a ticket if they speed and they go 70 in 35 zone. Right? If there's no speed limit, there's no warning, and therefore the person cannot be punished. He can't be held accountable. So, that makes sense, right? When was the Torah given? When was the Torah given? in year 2448 from after the creation of Adam, 2,448 years, no one should be punished. Because the Torah wasn't given yet. People don't know the laws. So how can you have the generation of Noach be punished? How can you have the generation of the Tower of Babel be punished? You see so many different characters in the Torah who are punished for things that they seemingly were not warned for. They weren't warned about. So how is it possible? So our sages tell us, common sense doesn't need warnings. Common sense doesn't need laws. You don't need a law to tell you not to murder, not to cheat, not to steal. So what's the question you can ask? But the Torah tells us not to steal. Right? 10 Commandments. And the Torah tells us not to murder. That's not what the Torah tells us. Look at all the commentaries. And the commentaries explain. Not murder, you know what that means? Don't embarrass someone in public. That's a different type of murder. That common sense wouldn't dictate so clearly. The Torah needs to tell us. Oh, not to take a knife and stab someone? Not to take a gun and shoot someone? That we don't need a Torah to tell us. That's common sense. But not to embarrass someone in public, that's a different type of common sense. That we wouldn't know without the Torah telling us. Stealing doesn't mean not hacking someone's bank account and stealing their money. That's not what we're talking about. You know what stealing means? Stealing means not to steal someone's wisdom, someone's ideas, someone's intellect. I don't want to get into intellectual property, but someone's intellect. I'll give you an example. So, it's a bitter cold day. You're waiting for the bus. Right next to the bus stop, there's a shop. And it's warm in the shop. And it's not raining in the shop. So you go into the shop. You start looking around. Now, what does the shopkeeper think? Oh, I got a customer. This is great, right? And you, meanwhile, why are you there? You're there for the warmth. You want to wait till the bus comes, right? But so you say, how much is this, right? How much is this item? You know what you just did? You stole. It's called Gnevat Dat. You're stealing their intellect. You're stealing their thoughts. You're tricking them. That's a different type of stealing. Right? That common sense doesn't necessarily dictate. So what should you do? Anytime you go into a store and you don't plan on buying something, if the store owner, today most people don't run their own stores, they have workers for $10 an hour, right, manning their stores. So they don't care if you buy or not buy unless they get a commission from it. But even then, say, no, I'm just browsing. Is it okay that I just look around? Oh, sure, go right ahead. Right? Then you can ask, and then they're not anticipating that you're buying anything. You're just looking around. That's great. But at least you're not tricking them. Right? You can say, listen, is it okay that I warm up over here? I'm just freezing cold. And they say, sorry, this is only for customers. Okay, so now you know. But to trick someone in such a way, the Torah tells us, don't steal. You're stealing their mind. You're stealing their intellect. They have hopes here. They have hopes. Oh, I've got another customer. And really, you're only coming in for the warm heating. Right?
Even if you don't intend to buy anything, like you're just there for the warmth, and you just tell the person, I'm just there looking around, that's okay.
Tell them why you're there.
Okay.
Tell them why you're there. Right? Now,
what if you buy something?
Oh, so that you could do.
Stay there.
Yes, that you could do. Again, so if you go in and you buy something and then you stay there, fine. But at least you're not tricking them. Right? It's a form of stealing. Okay? So you see that every mitzvah in the Torah, we can read it very plainly by the words that are given in the Ten Commandments. And we say, hey, this is simple stuff. Not necessarily. Okay? Just because the words say that, again, there are many different deeper layers of understanding of every single mitzvah that are not always so simple and common sense. for us to understand, which is why the Torah gives it to us. In fact, it's even more interesting that when you open up the Mishnah and you open up the Talmud that explains the Mishnah, and then you open up the Halakha that follows the conclusions of the Talmud, you see an incredible investment to understanding the details of every single letter of the Torah. Every single letter of the Torah we want to understand. Why is this letter there? Why is that letter there? Why is each letter of the Torah goes under tremendous scrutiny? Why did the Torah need to tell us this? It's just a form of speech. No such thing. The Torah doesn't have figure of speech. The Talmud may have. But the Torah, every single letter, right? You've been learning Daf Yomi, right? There's no such thing, oh, well, we just learn it, that's it. No, the Torah says it, there's a reason the Torah says it. What's the reason? That's what we want to get down to the bottom of. Why does it say it? And that's, now even more, let's go back to what we said originally. Because the Torah is not there as a book of rules. The Torah is not there as a book of ideas. The Torah is there to teach us how to maximize life. So every single letter needs to be taken to the last microscopic detail. Why? Right? I'll just share with you one quick idea that comes to my mind right now. It says in the Talmud, I believe it's Masechet Sotah, page 40a. It says an incredible idea. It says that there are 4 different categories of people that are not welcome in God's presence. 4 different categories of people. One is the liars. One is the scorners. One is the slanderers. And one is the, how do you say chanufa? What's that? The kisser upper. How do you say that? There's someone who kisses up to someone. No, there's a word for it in English. There's a no. No. It's a simple word. I just don't. It's slipping my. What's that? Right, but there's a word for it.
Buttering up.
What is it called?
I don't know.
No, there's a.
Rabbi, are you trying to get us to say something that we should not?
No.
Because the only thing that I know is
No, it's called a.
The only one I know is a kiss.
No. Okay. So either way, it's Hanufa. No, it's called a. Okay, someone out there. No. The flaunt, not the flaunt. It's a good idea, but it's not what we're talking about. I'm getting help here from my friends on Facebook. Thank you, Menachem. It's called a. Okay, I don't remember what the name of it, but either way, it's someone who a flatterer. Sorry, there we go. A flatterer, flattery. There we go. So someone who flatters other people, they say, "Ooh, that's so nice." And I turn around, like, crazy. It's so nice to see you. Great to see you. Like, why did they come? Who invited them? Right? Right? So it's two-faced. Okay. So either way, so let's see. Right? Where does the Talmud get this from? Where does the Talmud get this from? The Talmud gives a very strong statement that anybody who has any of these four characteristics, they don't get to see Pnei Shechina. They don't get to see the face of the Almighty's presence. So, why? Where did they get it from? Where does the Talmud come up with this? So the Maharal, in his incredible wisdom, shares an idea with us. He says, if you take the name of God, the name of God has 4 letters. One of the names. There are many, many names of God. But one of the names, and it's not supposed to be pronounced, okay, ever, even if you're one of those witnesses, okay, right? You don't say the words. You don't say those words, okay? Shh, 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 right? So we have like this. So we have the Yud, even the letters you're not supposed to read out straight. The Yud, the Hey, and the Vav, and the Hey. Okay, now each letter in the Hebrew alphabet has a character, has an essence to it. Okay, now the Yud is the first letter, so we'll deal with the first letter. What is the letter Yud represent?
Shemayim, space.
Okay.
Spirituality,
Spirituality. Anybody else? Space.
wisdom.
Wisdom. So if you look at the Yud, Yud is the smallest letter of the alphabet. Every letter is combined with other letters. So if you take, for example, an Aleph, it's a Yud, and a Vav. You take a Bet, it could be a Resh and a Vav. You take a Gimel, it's a Yud and a Vav. Right? You have all the different combinations of letters. Right? A Hey is a Daled and a Yud. So every letter is a combination of different letters, except for a Yud. A Yud is just a Yud. A Yud can't be sliced to other letters. That is telling us Hashem Echad. Hashem is only one. Hashem doesn't have two faces. Hashem is Emet. Hashem is truth. There's only one truth. It's the oneness of God. So the Yud always represents God's oneness. What is a flatterer? They're two-faced. They flatter you here, and they scorn you here. That can't see the presence of God. God is only oneness. You can't be two-faced and see God. So you, by your actions, it's not that God is going to punish you. You're not allowing yourself to be in the presence of God. By being two-faced, by being a flatterer, right? Now, we're not saying you shouldn't compliment someone. Compliment someone. Be nice to other people. But be genuine. Be sincere. Don't just say it if you don't mean it. Or the fake it till you make it type concept. Right? It doesn't bode so well for flattery. I'm going to kiss up to them. So they like me. I'll kiss up to them so that they're nice to me. I'll kiss up to them. A person has to be very careful about that. A person who's two-faced, right? It's not so simple that they see the presence of the Almighty. What's the Hey? The Hey is that God creates the world. It says, Behi bar'am in Genesis. Behei bra'am. God created the world with a Hey. How that exactly fits and how do we understand that, we can talk about it later. We don't have enough time for it. But we take that Hey, that God created. God created everything. This cup and this phone and this table and each one of us here around the table. God created it. Now, can I ask you a question? Did you ever see someone make a creation that has no purpose? No. Because you create something for a purpose. So imagine you see someone is welding a piece of metal together and they're putting this whole thing together and you're like, what are you doing? Nothing, I'm just doing. That's craziness. There's no such thing. There's nothing that is able to be created or that a creator creates without any purpose. You create something, there's a purpose. When you mock someone else, what are you doing? You're saying this person is worthless. So God created them for a reason, and you're saying they're worthless. I'm going to mock them. I'm going to laugh at them. So you're not allowing yourself to be in God's world. God creates everything for a purpose. And here you're saying this person has no purpose. We're going to laugh at him. We're going to make jokes about him. So the Hey represents the actual creation, everything that's in this world. And we're mocking that God created something there's no purpose for this person. We can laugh at him. Which is why I have no problem with comedy. But I do have a problem with comedy about other people. Who gives someone a right? This is just a point. I want to get this off my chest because we just finished major political season. And whether you voted for one candidate or the other two candidates, right? Or three candidates if you're from Utah, right? So the real question is like this, okay? We've all heard advertisements. We've heard commercials. We've seen articles. We've seen saying the most nastiest, disgusting things about other candidates. And perhaps even the candidate that we wanted, or the candidate that our spouse wanted, or that our neighbor wanted. We hear all these terms. Second, who gives people the right to talk like that, Lashon Hara? The Torah says, what is Lashon Hara? Lashon Hara is saying something that is true and negative about someone else. That is Lashon Hara. What is Motzi Shemra? Motzi Shemra is just saying something bad about someone, but that's something which is not true. So if I go and I say about my friend over here, I say, he's a crook, right? It's not true. He's not a crook, right?
He said yes.
He's funny. He is funny, right? Right? But it's not true. Right? So that would be Motzi Shemra. That's just putting a bad word about someone. Lashon Hara is saying the truth about it, but it's true. And that's when it's prohibited. You're not allowed to say something slanderous about someone else, even if it's true. Now, we can get into the question, we can learn this another time, whether or not a person can, if you know someone's going to go into a business deal with someone, and you know the person's a crook, okay, so then there's a way to approach it without saying the negative.
But is it the person's responsibility who knows that to warn the person?
So there's yes, it is their responsibility to tell them, but there's a way to say it without it being Lashon Hara. And you know what? If we're on the side where we're asking someone's advice, I'm about to close a deal with this person. Do you think it's a good idea? You know what you should tell them? Or if you're the person asking, you know what you should ask? If you were in my position, would you do this deal? And then they can easily say yes or no, and they don't have to get into details. They're giving you their own personal advice. I would tell you not to. Why is...
Why do they ask you why?
I've done business dealings with them. I think it would be something that you wouldn't benefit from. Right? I'm not saying they're a thief. I'm not saying they're a crook. I'm not saying that they're dishonest. I'm just saying, as a recommendation about this deal, I'm saying it's probably not a good idea for you to do it. Which is different than saying, oh, you kidding me? They cheated me. They lied. They this. They that. Right? That we don't have to get into. Yes?
Companies had to deal with that very issue years ago, and they found a way to deal with putting down maybe truthful statements about a past employee when a future employer is looking for them. They worked it out to where they said, would you hire this person back?
Right.
Or would you rehire this person? You get away from all these other possibilities by simply saying yes or
no. Right. And that's the clever way to ask the question. It's not what you ask, it's how you ask it. Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Given your point about, and I don't want to get too terribly political, but our political candidates, did they not personify virtually every negative characteristic that at least the four negative characteristics that you've made reference to, and yet they have elevated to potentially the highest office in the land? Is that a comment about our country?
It's absolutely a comment on our culture, that our culture tolerates it. Now, look, my grandfather used to say that you can influence positively anybody in the state of Israel to become a better Jew, to become more committed, he says, unless they're in the Knesset. Right. Unless they're in the Knesset. He said the worst characteristics in the world are in the Knesset. Right? I don't know what it is. You go to Ukraine and they're fist fighting in the middle of the parliament, meetings. It's like, what's going on over here? What? Right? I understand people would feel a responsibility for the people they represent, maybe, right? But to get so worked up, to have fist fights and to have, I don't understand it. I really don't, and it's possibly why there aren't, the majority of people are not politicians, and the majority of people, although there unfortunately are too many, right? But you're right. If everyone would be, on the highest level of moral and ethical standings, then you're right, we'd be in a much better place. But unfortunately, this is what you have to choose from.
Are we at a
It's like-
disadvantage being transparent and honest? And when there are a lot of people that are looking to not be like that, and here we are, transparent, honest, consistent with Talmud teachings and so forth. How do we compete with folks who are looking to?
So like we mentioned numerous times, emet, the word emet, which means truth, will always stand. It will always stand. You have the three letters of emet, aleph, mem, and taf, are the first, the middle, and the last letters of the alphabet. But they're also, all of those letters have two legs. They have two legs to stand on. If you take the word sheker, which is falsehood, or lies, they all have one leg. The shin comes down to a point, the kuf has one leg that stands lower, and then a resh, which has one leg. It will eventually fall. A lie will eventually fall. A truth is something else that we say. We've said this numerous times in our class. In the morning services, after we say the Shema, we say emet, v'yatziv, v'nachon, v'kayam, v'yashar. We say 15 different praises of God, and the last one is v'yafeh. Emet is truth, and all these different praises, and the last one is beautiful. So my rabbi of blessed memory used to ask, Rabbi Beryl Eisenstein, Zechat Tzadik L'Vracha, would say the following. He would say, I don't understand. Shouldn't truth and beautiful be one right next to the other? Why are they in the opposite ends? You have 15 different praises. One on one end is truth, and the other on the other end is beautiful. Pretty. Shouldn't they be together?
Because beauty doesn't have to be truthful.
So he says, usually what's true is not pretty. And what's pretty is usually not true. Right? It's a very fundamental principle. Usually what's true, it hurts. It hurts to hear the truth sometimes. But it's the truth. What can I do, right? You can't sugarcoat it. It's the truth. It's the truth. And usually what's pretty, you sometimes hear politicians, right? And they're talking these nice words and they're giving all these promises, and you know that not one word is true, right? It's the most prettiest words, but they're not true. So usually what's true is not pretty, and what's pretty is not true. And the question is how to merge the two. Sometimes you can. Sometimes you can. Usually you can't.
Not in politics. Don't follow politics.
Yeah, if your goal in life is to be a man of truth, politics might not be your career. Right? Yeah. All right. Oh, that's also true. Okay, so where did we leave off here? Truth. Oh, so we're up to the second letter, right? So the second letter means God created. God creates, hey, right? The letter of hey. Everything that God creates, you don't create something which has no purpose. You're mocking someone is saying this person has no purpose. Okay? So now, by you mocking this person, you're not allowing yourself to be in the presence of God, because you're saying that this same God who created everything for a purpose created this person who's futile. Right? Who has no reason for its existence. So it's a contradiction of your essence in mocking other people. You're not able to be in the presence of God. The third letter is the letter Vav. What is the letter Vav?
Connected.
The letter Vav means, first letter we said is truth, right? So falsehood. No, sorry. So it continues. God continues to maintain the world. Okay, the Vav means continues to maintain the world. Right? The only thing that is able to be maintained is truth, like we said just a minute ago. Falsehood collapses, disappears. You can only carry a lie for that long. Someone who doesn't speak the truth can't be in the presence of God. Can't. That just doesn't work. So that's the third letter. And the fourth letter is that God renews the world. The Hey has a space on top. Okay? It has a space. So you have I'll give it your way, right? So you see it. It goes like a resh, and then it has a hanging yud, right? So why is there a space on top? So our sages say that when someone sins, they can always come around. You fall down, you sin, you can always come back up. It is always, right? But God also renews the world. He doesn't only keep it going, but He renews it. Every day it's mechadesh b'chol yom tamid, ma'aseh bereshit. God renews this world at every moment. It's a new world again. So that is the fourth one, which is we spoke about the flatterer, right? We spoke about truth. We spoke about the liars. Then we spoke about the liars, the scorners, and what was the last one? Slander, right? Slander is speaking negatively about someone. I'm mixing up. It fits, trust me, okay? It fits. Right? So we see that that's just in the name of Hashem. Just in the name of Hashem we learn these lessons. Without getting, right? So now, and of course there are sources for every single one of these ideas, because I can't just come up with an idea and say, oh, this is what I think. This is what. No, you have to back it up. You got to have the proof for it. Okay. What are we holding? Oh, wow, well over time. Okay, so with this, we're going to conclude today's class. Want to thank you all for coming. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you all for coming. Thank you. Really, I appreciate it. I know each of you had a challenge today, right? And the challenge was, do I get out of bed, number one, or do I just roll over? You said, I'm going to get out of bed. Then the question was, should I watch the television show? Should I watch a movie? Should I go visit friends? Or should I go to Torch and learn something and have breakfast together? And you chose to come here. I'm so grateful. I really am. Because it's a different type of day, starting off like this than, otherwise. So, a pleasure. So thank you all. Thank you all for coming.
So we'll make an annual event now.
Yeah, I'll be happy to. All legal holidays. Look, it's a beautiful crowd. I'm just going to bring out the benches, so we'll be able to bench together. Thank you, everyone on Facebook Live, for joining us. We hope you join us more often. Just as an announcement, tonight's class in Congregation Beth El at 7:30 will not meet. Right? I don't want to get in Turkey's way. Right? And tomorrow's Talmud class won't either, because everyone's going to be busy shopping for Black Friday and everyone's going to be running around. So tomorrow's Talmud class at 12 o'clock will not either be meeting, but the Saturday class at Congregation Beth Rambam, the prayer class, at 10:30 in Congregation Beth Rambam. Don't forget, no membership required. You don't have to be a member there. You just come and enjoy. That class is, and you don't have to know Hebrew either, by the way. You don't have to have any experience. You can just come and enjoy. So that class is at 10:30. That will be active. And then Sunday, over here, Sunday morning class at Beth Yeshurun, at Bris Shalom at 11 o'clock is going to meet. And then at 2 o'clock, everyone is welcome here. 2 o'clock Sunday, this Sunday, is the upsharon of my son, Yitzi, and my nephew, Shlomo. We're going to have a double header, right? And we're going to cut, they're here together. They're both 3 years old at the same, a week apart, but we're doing it together. It's going to be a really nice party here. No RSVP necessary. Just come at 2 o'clock on Sunday, this coming Sunday, right here at the Torch Center, 9427 Glenfield Court in Meyerland. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you.